Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shaq here, and welcome to the early access beta copy of StarDrive. This game isn't out yet. I got an early access copy from the devs. They said, hey, Shaq, come check it out. So I did enjoy StarDrive 1. They had some really interesting game mechanics in that game. There were some issues with it, but StarDrive 2, and I've got about 8 or so hours logged into this, they've learned a lot from their first title. And it shows in this one. This is it feels like a much more complete, solid experience already, and this is just the 0.9 beta. So let's get into what the game offers. Now, the StarDrive series is a 4X strategy game. That means the grand scale strategy game. You have the basic campaign mode, which is what you'd expect. You have your races to choose from. We'll be trying out the United Federations, who I've been playing as, but they're definitely different, unique races. But one thing that's cool about StarDrive, and the first one and this one, is you can actually kind of make your own race, or maybe a sub-faction of the race. The races are already there. So let's see, we'll look at humans. Humans are industrious workers, so they get +1 to production for every worker they've got. They're smart, so they get better in research, but they've got a negative perk. They've got corrupt. Corruption and inefficiency mar collection efforts, resulting in a 25% penalty to tax revenues in the Empire. This allows them to have more traits, because you only have so many points to work with. So we'll click Customize, and you can see all the traits to choose from. The red ones are what are these, like the negatives? Or actually, they have the negative numbers. That's what it is. So that just means that we don't have enough points. So if we took out industry workers and we took out smart, everything starts to line up. But you can customize them. Like, you can take negatives, so slow breeders means that our colonies will grow really, really slowly. And it'll give us 4 points to choose other traits. So we could take assimilation, or simulators, which, what is this? Whenever this empire captures a planet, it will gain knowledge of one random unknown technology possessed by the former owner of the colony. That's really cool. There's actually a research that allows you to do this too, so I wonder if this stacks with that, meaning you could actually take 2 technologies every time you take a planet. That'd be great for a warlike race. You could kind of make the Borg with just a couple of traits where you're like, taking technology from other races. But anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff here, and they really do change how the game is played. We'll be playing as the bare bones basic humans, which I just kind of broke, didn't I? Can we? Oh boy. Oh no. All the custom races that you can choose between. And then you've got like the samurai bears. And in the campaign, let's just click continue. In the campaign, we'll do blue. You can have them set to randomized personalities. So let's say you get to know the races and you kind of know what to expect. I know the one bug race is always aggressive and wants to kill me and eat my corpse, and that's what they're constantly threatening me with. If that kind of gets old and you want a fresh game, you can hit randomized personalities, and it will change how the races behave. So they won't stay true to the original lore. It's kind of a cool addition. All right, let's go back here. I kind of broke my people. Agriculturally inclined. Yeah, that works. I think that's what I had on there. Lazy workers is an option. Slothful. Ha! Interesting. Very interesting. So let's go back real quick before we get into the campaign and I show the gameplay. They have a new option. They've got Battle Arena. And these are mini campaigns that are straight into the combat of the title. So, and you go from mission to mission. I was playing, what was it? I was playing this one. This is pretty fun, where they give you a certain amount of money, and then you buy your fleet, and then you just fight through the campaign. And I got to, I think, the second mission before I got totally stomped. I'm still getting the strategy down, but let's load up a map real quick. Let's do the invasion. I think that was where I saved so I could show some of the combat elements. And I've kind of got an empire it's a fledgling one. It's just starting out in my second campaign, but it's so good. Like, this game is a lot of fun, and mainly because of the random stuff that happens in the world that kind of grows out the story as you play the campaign. Like, you build up a story in your head. So here's the United Federation. This is actually a little bit earlier in my second playthrough. But I have the Solar System. I'm playing as the humans. I've got Earth, and you can zoom in on the planet. Like, let's just zoom out real quick and show the map. So here's the total map size. and I think this is a medium-sized map. This has got 5 or 6 opponents in it. I haven't discovered them all yet. I've only discovered these 2, both of which have become hostile to me. So the first races that I ran into in my campaign are just angry and want me dead. These guys want to kill me and eat my corpse, and these guys are this robotic hive that see us as a threat. They just want this colony. So they've both trying to take this colony from me. They want it. For whatever reason, they really want it. And I think I know why. Planets are randomly generated. Each map is randomly generated. We'll zoom in on the solar system. So we've got Earth here, which is not producing anything. Let's get them producing one of my Arizona classes, and we'll get into that in a second. But here's where I started. I started with Earth, and I built my first colony ship, and I colonized Sol 2, which is a barren, kind of deserty world. And through technology research, I've been able to turn it into a really prosperous planet. Now, the planets themselves have random stats. As you can see here on the planet itself, I've got, it's a huge planet, it's arid, so it doesn't grow a lot of food. That means the population isn't growing too quickly. But it does have a lot of space because it's so large. So we've got a 15 pop cap right now, which I've raised using different technologies. But there's also 2 other things here on this planet. We'll zoom in. The planet came with ancient androids. Scans have revealed a cache of ancient androids locked away in a bunker on this planet. Who put them here and why? We couldn't say. But when I colonized it, I got 2 of these little robots that helped me grow this planet. This is the reason why it's so prosperous, because when I originally colonized it, I only had 1 person working the farms. But because it had the androids, I got 2. And it's cool, random little things like that give this game personality and start to flesh out your Empire's story. 2 seconds into the game when I started playing, I had Earth here, and that was it. And I was building my first colony ship, and I noticed a little asteroid was floating past, a little comet was floating through the solar system, and it was happening in real time. This is a turn-based game, but it was floating through, and I could send a ship to explore it. And it turns out that the asteroid had some weird energies coming off it, and through that, my ships learned how to conserve energy better. It was just random stuff like that. It's very cool. Very, very cool. All right, so the reason that all these races, these 2 guys, they really, really want this planet, and they've sent over a couple invasion fleets, is because it has diamond rain. More or less, volcanoes are shooting diamonds out from underneath the planet's surface every once in a while, and it makes the planet very valuable in the way of galactic credits, or BCs. I'm not actually sure what BC stands for, but that's your income. So it's a pretty valuable planet. Now, right now, all my money is being funneled into the maintenance of the fleet, because the fleet is larger than my Empire can sustain right now, because I went full war production. I built the mighty human fleet right here, and it's on the way to, really punch the Terrace hive right in the face. Now, here's one of the things that I absolutely love, and we'll start this fight. The enemy has a single ship in orbit. I just recently beat them in a fleet fight, so their only ship in orbit defending this outpost of theirs. Not that powerful, but we'll go ahead and we'll start the invasion. Inside this fleet, I have the Arizona, the NX-03 Arizona class. I, of course, named this, and then the Rocket Attack Fighter, another ship that I've custom designed, and 2 troop transports, which are bringing troops from Earth to here. Now, let's start the invasion. So first, we got to have the space fight, because you see the little space station there. There's a space station floating above the planet's surface, and there is a ship defending it. So we're going to hit spacebar. Now, in the original StarDrive, the game was real-time. Even with a map this scale, it was real-time, which is cool, but also made it really difficult to kind of sit back and figure out what you want to do, and it caused some issues. So in StarDrive 2, it seems like they took a more traditional approach to turn-based, but you can hold down spacebar, and time passes. It'll just naturally go through the turns. So my ship has come out of hyperspace or warp or whatever they have in this, and we're going to jump into the fight. Now, where this game shines, I think, is through the story elements where you start building your own narrative and the way technology is researched. And the combat is really, really solid. Because at the beginning of this war, and we'll begin the fight, my NX classes, we're going to move you guys forward. At the beginning of this war, I had an okay fleet. I had the NX-01s. They are my very first version. They had laser turrets, and I started fighting this Hive race. The Hive race decided they were going to use nothing but missile launchers. Apparently these ships don't actually have any of those missile launchers, so we'll send in our fighter, see if the ship has any missiles. But they would throw, it seemed like hundreds of long-ranged, high-impact missiles. Heavy damaging missiles at me, and I was not prepared for this. I had armor, I had medium-range laser cannons, I had minimal point defenses. I had a couple of flares installed on my ships. Like, these are the missiles I'm talking about, but think of it as like fields of missiles that they would send in. I probably shouldn't send him in first. Nope, he just died. That's why I designed the NX-03 Arizona class, and it took me a while to figure this out, and it took quite a few battles, and I lost a lot of ships, but it reminded me, like, if you've ever read the lore for Halo, where the Covenant really outmatched the humans, and that was through the whole beginning of the war, but eventually the human race started figuring out ways to defeat them, and the NX Arizona class was the first ship of the line that I created, and I'm really proud of this. Like, this took me a lot of figuring out. That could do it, that could handle it, because as you can see, all these point defense lasers and the shield technology that I put money into. We're gonna go ahead and bring this guy to starboard, or to port, so his right shields will start defending him. Oh, actually no, those are left shields. I just turned him the wrong way. Hurry, hard to starboard. Get your shield side on there. So these guys are really close range, but they have the capability of taking out massive amounts of incoming missiles, giving us the tactical advantage in the fleet fights. And then when I finally researched, and because of the war, I knew I needed more defenses. I wanted energy defenses because the armor wasn't doing it against the missiles. I put my whole empire into designing a ship that would save it. And I got to the point where I had no fleets, I was dying, Earth was being engaged, and the first two NX classes came off the line right when the enemy fleet reached Earth. It was really like this climactic storyline of human survival in my head, in the game, and you had this narrative going in your head where, oh my god, we're not gonna make it, and these two ships, and I wish I could just individually name them, like have the class name and have the names would have like the Enterprise and something else, but they came off the line, and those two ships were able to stop the enemy invasion of Earth before it was too late. It was really the perfect timing for them and this new design to take hold. All right, there we go. And that's one of the strengths of the game, is designing the ships. So we've taken out the enemy in orbit, now I'll be able to actually land troops. But yeah, it's designing the ships for for your needs, right? So they were using lots of missiles. I came up with a way of stopping them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go under the ship management. We're gonna go into the shipyard. Here's my current human fleet. And figuring out what will work against your enemy. Now, I could have fought against an enemy that was using heavy energy weapons, and I could have used, I didn't actually do the research because I'm not fighting people with energy weapons right now. I could have gotten defenses that were good against energy weapons. So you could make ships for your needs, and it will affect how you want to do your research. So all right, let's get into actually customizing a ship. So I've only got 3 ship class hulls right now. I've got like a light Corvette, which is kind of looks like an F-22 or maybe like a real slick F-16. We've got this frigate that they give you some basic starting outfits. Like you can look at the different weapon setups. We'll go straight to the Arizona class, and I'll show you guys what I did here and what you can do in this title that's so cool. So this is the subsystem page for the Arizona class. This is the ship that I designed to take out enemy missile boats that they brought in. Now the way that it does this is it's armed with Vulcan cannons. These are these suckers right here, rapid firing weapons that are able to put lots of rounds down range. The negative side effect of this is it uses up a lot of ammunition. So all these little boxes that you see right here, these yellow and black boxes that are kind of intermittently dispersed throughout the ship, are ammo crates. Now these took the place of armor plating that I used to have on here. She's also armed with lots of laser cannons. So because I had to remove pretty much 90% of the armor of the original NX-1 and NX-2 designs that I made, I had to figure out a way to defend this ship. Okay, my armor's gone, I don't have the space for it, I need anti-missile support. What am I gonna do when those few missiles actually get through my firing line? Well, I took the time with my empire to research Class 1 shields. and these have saved my butt. They're very high energy, so I took the time to research fusion power, and I'll show you the research tree in a second. Fusion power, very expensive, but it creates more energy for a smaller area of space. Like, we'll remove those, and you can see these little empty squares. That's the area that you have to build stuff. Let's take, actually, let's delete this. We're not going to use this class. Let's do a new setup. So we'll just go to this. So here's a traditional design. This is something like what I had originally. All right, this is the Stewart class that they give you automatically in the game. It's got a couple artillery rounds, got lots of armor, and has a long-range rocket. Interesting designs, kind of similar to what I was using, but it just wouldn't work against the missile frigates. Then I came up with this idea. And that's kind of the fun, is you can really customize this. Like, this is the technology. I've done a lot of weapon tech research, so this is kind of what you start with, except for the ion beams. But, there's a lot of weapons, and there's a lot of weapons I could have gone into, and I'll show you the research in a second. But here's what's also cool. So, not only do I have these Vulcan cannons, we'll go to Vulcan cannons, but I can customize the individual cannons. There's check marks in the bottom here. Now, I can overload the Vulcan cannon, which this installation of a specialized overload capacitor increases the effectiveness, so it makes it do more damage, right? But now it costs more to produce, and it weighs more. Now it weighs 10 tons. Turn that on and off, you can see the difference. Overload also decreases the firing arc. I didn't know it decreased the firing arc. Interesting. And increases the power. So you see the damage bonus over the range. And the layout on this, and I have to say this about 4X games, I've gotten early access to a couple, but I just haven't played. The ones that I played that were like, you're not really doing anything new here. I'm not really liking it. I just didn't bother making a video on it. But this one, everything is laid out so nicely that I can just at a glance see what's going on. So we can turn on rapid fire. Now I'm doing 0.4 second fire rates. You can increase the arc of how far the turret will turn, like how far that turns now compared to the normal arc. Extend arc. So it's 135 versus 45. That's a pretty big difference. That actually might be worth doing on the Arizona class as an upgrade. And you can do that with a lot of these. Some, even like the laser cannons, have point defense, which you see I have all over the place. These are like the little tiny ones you'd put on a fighter class or frigate class. Then you have the spiral, only shoots forward, but maybe you want to make a gunship that's like they're all over the place. This is showing the arc of the weapons are already installed, of course. But you could have like all these gun turrets facing forward if you use the spirals. Small turrets don't take as much space up, and then the dual turrets, which take up a nice big old block. But of course, they fire faster, do more damage. So defenses are the same thing. You've got upgrades, ablative, reactive, where it'll take you can have them focused on energy weapons or maybe explosive weapons on what the resistance are, and then your subsystems. Which the one big subsystem that I've researched is fusion power, and then the astrometrics lab, which are huge science labs. If you're a fan of Star Trek, you're like, oh, I know what that is. And you're pretty much right. The astrometrics labs are a really cool concept, and I will show you another design. The NX2, before the war started, I haven't designed it yet in this save. Well, the NX2 that I built before I built this one, I may have actually just recently deleted it, was a science ship. And the idea was that if you have these astrometrics labs on your ship, they act like little laboratories that will help your entire empire research. They take a big block, they take up some power, but they increase the scan range of the ship itself, and they make the ship more accurate for combat. They also allow your empire to research stuff faster. So now you're probably thinking, if you're a Star Trek fan, that sounds like the Star Trek Federation. Right? You've got the Galaxy class with all its laboratories doing research, scientific research. So you could focus even your combat fleet on research as well. It's a neat concept. Now, they took a lot of inspiration from classic sci-fi. So let's go into the research tree. And I love it. As a big sci-fi buff, I love this concept. We'll go under warp field technology. Now, the way technology seems to work when you do your research is you get your level 1 research at the start, and you pick one thing to research. You only get to pick one thing. And then once that research is done, it unlocks the next tier, and you get to pick one thing. So I had to choose between solar armor, ion beams, or particle colliders. The next one I chose fusion power. The next one I'll probably take advanced warp theory, and so on and so forth. So it makes the empires get different technologies as they go through the campaign. So at the very end, you'll find yourself with very different technology than your neighbor, possibly. You also get experimental research. This is research that is random and is unique to your specific race. Now, I haven't really messed around with this yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And there's a lot of that in this game where you want to play again because you can do things so differently. I've already restarted twice because I was like, wow, what happens if I did this? What happens if I took that technology? But here's the best part, I think, of the research tree. As you go down the line, you'll start as a Star Trek fan, as a Battlestar fan, as a Halo fan. You'll start to recognize a lot of the research. Advanced warp theory makes your ships move a little faster. Sounds kind of like a Star Trek thing. Let's see. Disruptor cannons, particle capacitors. Disruptor cannons. Are we talking, what is this? This is a long-range weapon. Starting to sound like maybe something from Star Trek. You've got, we'll go down farther so you guys will know what I'm talking. Stargates. Look at the icon. It creates once a Stargate is built on a planet, that planet enters the Stargate network. Planets in the Stargate network may share food without the use of freighters. Citizens may travel between planets that have Stargates instantaneously. And look at the icon. How awesome is that? You can have a Stargate network. Alteran's gonna freak. Transporter devices. Actually, I haven't tried that one yet. Very neat. Oh, you can transport ammo. Ammo is a thing in this, by the way. Supply lines actually matter, and you have fuel when you leave your empire. And we'll look into that in just a second. There's a lot to this. This is probably going to be a very long spotlight. Let's go to phasers. Yeah. I don't know if they look like the phasers from Star Trek, but I really hope they do. Transphasic warp. That sounds like something from Star Trek. Antimatter cannons. They have photon torpedoes under one of these. Like, here we go. I think this one's the one that has it. The Galactic Republic, if you want to do social economics, which is what this tree is. Biochemistry, if you want to focus on different types of bombs you can use against people, how you grow your food, how your colony is managed. Like, there's some really cool stuff here. Really, really cool stuff. I think like orbital construction gets your bigger ships, your battle stations, better armor, heavy weapons. There's rail guns that you can focus on using. And it looks like they balanced the weapons and the technology so they don't become useless right away. Like the original, to use an example here, let me show you guys back into the shipyard. The original subsystem for power, the nuclear power plant, is extremely cheap versus the fusion power. So say I'm really poor right now. I don't have a lot of production. I need to produce ships right now cheaply. Well, I'm going to use the nuclear power plants. I can still do that. And there's still a point. Even late game, there's still a point. So that's cool. And the same thing for the weapons. There's a balance to most of them, I think. I'll know more as I play more, so once this game officially comes out, I'll do a review of it after I finished a couple of campaigns and get a full sense of the game. But this is just my first impressions after about 8 hours of playing. All right, so let's get into some more combat. You saw space combat, little tiny space combat. I've had some much larger fleets. Let's go ahead and invade this planet. Oh, they've only got one unit here? All right, well, we'll begin the fight. Now, the combat in this, I was very pleasantly surprised. In most 4X games, and I'm really sad to say this, they are dice rolls. They are percentage based. You know, you really don't get a lot of choices, but in this you get a nice grid on the planet's surface to fight over. Here's my Marines. They are outfitted and customized to my specifications, though I don't have a lot of technology because I haven't focused on my ground war effort. This is the first planet I've invaded. So, where is my shield guy? Here he is. He's also my medic. Oh, I gotta change that. That's not gonna work. We're gonna move the troops up. They have, next to their health bar here, and this guy's wounded from the last mission I sent him on. Yes, these guys are persistent individually. They have their own gear. They have their own health bars that stick with them from mission to mission, which I think is very interesting. Let's move you up. You're also a shield dude. And we're gonna put you back to back him up. And then here's one of my melee guys who has a combat knife and the ability of charge. So we'll move you guys up. And you can actually equip them with different stuff and customize how you like to fight. Let's move you up too. So your weapons actually have a minimum range. So I'm using the laser rifle on the majority of my troops. You can see if the enemy gets too close, I won't be able to fire my rifle at them. The red area is where they could shoot at. So we will be spreading out the troops a bit so they can cover multiple fields of fire. It's It's kind of like a cool XCOM style combat system. Well, in turn, the enemy will make his move, and then it is our turn again. Fairly simplistic, at least early on. I'm assuming, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm assuming it will get a little bit more in depth as I unlock more stuff and more like vehicles and whatnot. It takes 3 AP action points to fire, and I have 6 on this guy. So if I move him up just a little bit, not quite in range. What if I move him one more? Still out of range. All right, well, we're gonna leave him right there. We're gonna move him up. Move him up a little bit too. Move him up a little bit. We should be able to take this guy out, no problem. He's shooting at us. The different races actually have different models for their infantry, for their units, and for their spaceships. Let's take this guy out. One of the cool abilities that I've equipped this fellow with is a shield, which is deployable. Enemies can't shoot through it, but I can. Oh, see, there you go. I'm just messing around here with this combat. Of course, I could have fired there. We'll finish him off. And there you go. We've won and we've captured our first planet. Now, my first combat wasn't on the ground, wasn't on a planet's surface. It was a random event. When I was exploring with one of my science vessels, I found a derelict ship. Let's actually see if we've got that. Oh, excuse me. Let's see if we've actually got that safe. I want to... Oh, it doesn't look like I saved it. Do combat. It was a derelict ship, and I was thinking, okay, you know, it says bring over some Marines. It's probably going to be this instant resolution where I capture the ship or I get some technology or something. But what would happen was, it was like out here, this old abandoned ship that didn't look like any of the other races. And I got there and it said, you need Marines. So I loaded up some Marines from Earth and I brought them over, and it started that style combat, but aboard the cruiser. And it was infested with like these crazy looking bug things. It was very cool. Yeah. Oh, look at that. We've actually got some random thing out here. Now let's see what's going on. We'll send the fleet. This is what it looks like when you have a random object. A hostile fleet has been spotted in your system. Oh, really? Is it this? No, that's an anomaly. And a mysterious asteroid. It's events like this. So we found an asteroid. Floating alone in deep space, this mysterious asteroid appears quite clearly to have been artificially created. By whom and for what purpose remains a total mystery. We could study it if we wanted to dedicate... Okay, so it's an event where I could dedicate my research teams, my scientists that are on my planet. We're gonna leave it alone for now. And I will show you guys how that works right now. I could dedicate all my scientists, and these are on multiple planets, to research that asteroid. And I remember doing this in this campaign. This is the one that I actually failed miserably and had to start over. But for that asteroid, it turned out that it was made of some like organic compound. And after researching it the first tier, we found out it was an organic compound. The next tier was either stop the project altogether or infect 2 colonists and be like the evil government corporation with this organic compound just to see what happens. And it would lower my my overall approval rating. You can see my approval rating is right here for Earth by it was like 20%. It was a good chunk, but who knows what would have come out of that? I mean, I have no idea, and that could have been a whole like little story arc within my empire's history. So very neat. And you could be a real jerk. Like there's research where you can open up slave camps. There's research where you could just be a clone army. Like you can actually research cloning technology. There's all kinds of cool stuff. All right. So what else can we show off real fast? Randomly, you'll have heroes. That's what this guy is. That will come to you and say, hey, we want to work for your empire. And they'll give you certain bonuses and certain just different things that'll help your empire grow. If you have I think it's an infantry base, you'll randomly build, like over time, you'll replenish your infantry until you have the max number on the planet. There is a cool game mechanic in this, and I really like this. It's the freighter game mechanic, and they kind of had this, they had this in StarDrive too. The idea is that you build, I don't have any freighters right now, but if you build freighters, you build them just like you build any ship. Actually, I think I'm building one right now. Yeah, I'm building a freighter fleet right now in this campaign. it will allow you to, that's how you move your troops. So if you have freighters available and they don't show up on the map until you need them. So if you launch these guys, it'll use up one of your freighters that you currently have built, and then you'll be able to command them around. But you can also, we go under the Empire Management screen, you can use your freighters to haul colonists from your populated planets to your less populated ones. And this is incredibly effective for those planets where it's a very desert planet and it's very hard to grow food. I can move people to those. Or say it's a lava planet. This happened in the campaign we saw earlier. I don't think I have one in this particular campaign. This is an ice planet, but we'll just use that as an example. So say this was a lava planet, it's not gonna be able to grow food, right? So I need to get let's see if I have it, an aeroponics farm up and operational. This allows you to grow without having land to grow on. You pretty much grow it in a vapor. You grow your food in a vapor. So, but to build it, I'm gonna need people there to build it. And I'm only gonna have one if I just colonize it. So I can use my freighters to haul people from Earth, which may be having a problem with overpopulation, which is a big negative. I think I actually have that hitting here. Yeah, it's overcrowding right now. If I move some of the people off here to, say, that lava planet, it would help them build their structures faster, and I'll be able to grow my colonies quicker. So it's this cool balance of empire management where you can actually move around your colonists. At the same time, if, say, you've got a planet that just can't grow food at all, the freighters will automatically take food from your planet that's producing lots, like overproducing food. It'll actually take food for you and move it around, and you'll see them doing it automatically, moving around food that needs to be brought in from other planets. And if a pirate comes in, this is the problem I had that really screwed me over in my first campaign. A pirate popped in and actually took out my supply lines, took out my freighters, and my planets on the outer rim, which were there to get me production and produce ships and colony ships and all that. They started to starve. So my outer colonies were starving, my inner colonies were attacked by pirates, and then I had 2 wars going on. It was really bad. But bad in a great way. Like, if there were lots of decisions I could have made to fix that. And the more I play, the more I want to start over because I can do it better and I can make different choices. So, the game right now, as 4X games go, like in the beta state, it is the most fun I've had in a 4X game since the late 90s, I think. Truly. So, anyways, guys, that is my first impressions of StarDrive 2. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to go over because the game has so much going for it. Let's push the turns. Let's actually tell our fleet to come back, and we'll let the turns go by and just see if some random stuff happens. We've had our freighters complete. We have a freighter fleet of 2. Here's how the diplomacy aspect works. One of the empires that I am aware of, these guys absolutely hate us. Hello again. We have a wonderful proposal for you today. This proposal is that you must pay us some money on a regular basis. In exchange, we do not kill and eat you. Good deal for all, yes? Yeah, they really love this. If I had one complaint, I'd like to see more text messages of more variety from the different races, because he said this to me, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times. This race they're so weird. They're super hostile. At the same time, they want to trade with you because they love stuff. They love gold. They want shiny stuff all the time. So it's this weird mix of wanting to trade with you and wanting to kill and eat you. If you can stay on their good side, you'll probably make some really good trade money. If you can't, you're gonna spend most of your time mired in a war with them if they're one of your neighbors. So let's hold spacebar, and I'll show you how the time passes. I can give orders. Come on out here. Uh-oh, we've got an enemy fleet spotted, probably pirates. Yeah, it's pirates, so we'll show a little bit more combat. Human fleet, engage. Cut them off before they can get to the freighters. The more freighters you have, I don't know if it's just my bad luck, but it seems like every time I have a good amount of freighters, the pirates start paying attention to me more. We will fight the pirates. And they've told me that there's a pirate base out there somewhere, so I've got this like a pseudo quest to go find and destroy the base. And random quests will pop up too. I had one, I have no idea what class of ship this is. This is my hammer class. I think this is, if I remember correctly, let's go broadside and order them to fire. I think these guys have artillery cannons strapped to the sides. Yes, they do. That's why I called them the hammer class, because they've got long-range, high-impact missiles, which are too many for their point defenses. It's got some, I think those are like E-impulse cannons, and then artillery cannons aboard this build. The ships actually level up too, so you can see this guy's got a couple of veteransary rewards. You get one for like defending planets, you get medals for defeating ships in combat, and just general leveling up. I don't have shield systems on this. These guys are really heavily armored though, and the ships actually get impact damage as they take hits. They get scorch marks, and little pieces fly off. So it's pretty good for a small development team. Take them down! Eliminate the hostiles. Nicely done. They'll all get experience for this and get a little bit better. And the more they level up, the more accurate they get with their weapons, which means a lot if you're using artillery. The Normandy class, I mean, yeah, I've gone to town with naming these ships. I think that's my scout vessels. I'm looking forward to unlocking the super caps, the capital ship, the battleships. My command point has reached my limit. So if you hit your command limit, it'll actually start costing you a ton of cash to sustain your fleet. And you can increase your command limit by doing quite a few things, like building space stations, building a bridge into your ship's design will lower its command limit requirements, I believe. Let's bring you guys back here. Let's see. These 4X games have so much to them. It does have a decent diplomacy system. And we can send out spies to find out what they're up to, different operations. We can hack their sensors. We can spread propaganda. If we have the points in this campaign, I don't have anything invested into espionage. I haven't built any spies. You can build them for defensive and offensive. We'll contact them and let's discuss. Yeah, they don't like us very much. The diplomacy system is kind of cool. I do dig this one. It's a bit more in depth, especially if you're coming over from something like Sins of a Solar Empire. It's way more in depth than that. You have a tolerance of your people and their people. And there are certain traits to increase this, and I believe the more they like you, the more more tolerance you'll have towards them. And you can do everything from starting up treaties. You can do trade rights, which are based on how many freighters you've got, non-aggression pacts that last so many turns, single payment trades, technology trades. You can threaten them. You can threaten war, which has a intrinsic value. So you can push them over the edge. So say they don't want to give you that ion cannon technology that you have to defeat your enemy. You can offer them maybe a certain amount of money and then say, hey, also if you don't take this, we're going to declare war on you. And if you have a decent sized military, maybe that value goes up. I'm not sure, but you can push them over the edge with that, which is kind of cool. I haven't messed with the intelligence yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it. I think that's it. Really. Here's our technology research in the top left-hand corner. I can hold spacebar. You can watch it go up as the turns go by. You can rush things with cash, just like in Civilizations, using your income. And you get nice drop-down menus. Everything has tooltips to tell you what they do. So we can just look at the Normandy class here. We can even right-click it and see what its specs are. This is the Stuart class. This is one of the basic classes that they've got. What did I turn the Normandy into? Like, what do you even do? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, no, that's the Stuart class again. All right, guys, well, that is StarDrive 2. I really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to this to come out. It's still in beta, so it's only gonna get better. I highly recommend it once it does come out, and I will do a full review on it, so if you wanna wait until the review comes out, I'll try to get it out the second I have the 1.0 release. All right, if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel for more sci-fi gaming goodness. Let me know if you guys want a campaign, maybe a Let's Play of this after I finish maybe the Homeworld one. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.